My name is Nick, and welcome to my channel, where I like to talk about scary stuff. And Servant is back for a third season on Apple TV+, and I know a lot of people are sleeping on this show. You've maybe avoided it, maybe you've never heard of it, but I'm here to tell you that this is one show you do not want to miss. I discovered Servant like a year ago, like right after the second season ended, and I am so glad that I had 2 full seasons to binge, because I don't know how I'm going to do this week-to-week bullshit, but I'm so glad that this show has been fast-tracked, and it is back, and I am so excited to get into Season 3. So I'm here to talk about the first episode. It dropped today, technically last night, but whatever. I'm really excited to get into this show. I will say that I am going to be talking spoilers for the first 2 seasons, as well as the events that take place in this episode. It will be a spoiler review, but I'm not going to recap the entire first 2 seasons, because frankly, I don't remember everything, and that would take way too long. But to give a brief overview of what's going on, Servant takes place in Philadelphia and follows married couple Sean and Dorothy Turner. Sean is a professional chef, and Dorothy is a reporter for a local news station. And they have a very interesting nanny, Leanne, who we have learned has come from a cult in Wisconsin, and she has some sort of special powers. In fact, she's the reason their infant son Jericho, who passed away, is now alive and well, or so we think. This is a dark, psychological, mysterious drama that, when I think of, the word rich comes to mind. Not just because we're following rich assholes like all the time in television series, God forbid we talk about real people, but this show is so richly executed. I mean, the production design on the home that we are anchored to throughout the show is just so beautiful. The cinematography is, it's rich. It's simply rich. I'm sorry, I can't stop myself. And the direction is always fantastic, no matter who's behind the camera. The writing may be too slow for some, and I can understand that, but I have to say I really appreciate the way that this show is unfolding. We're really peeling back the layers of the onion, and even though no one's watching it, I'm so glad that this show did go to Apple TV+, because I think they're giving it the proper treatment and really giving it the time to develop its characters in this story. I feel like if it went to Netflix, even if it did have a strong but small fan base, they would have canceled it and we wouldn't have gotten this far. So we left off at the end of season 2 with the Turner family having survived an encounter with the cult that Leanne came from. They got him out of their hair, they still have Leanne, she's safe, and now everyone's kind of living their best lives mostly. With Jericho back in their arms, Dorothy is way less crazy, and Sean is experiencing far less stress, and even though they were holding Leanne against her will last season, she, I guess, loves them more than the cult. So she's sticking around. She's essentially one of the family. They're definitely trying to make her one of the family. They decide to go to the beach to show Jericho the beach, even though it's like winter and he's basically 5 minutes old, but okay, Servant, it's fine. And Dorothy even buys Leanne a bathing suit as sort of like a symbolic gift to kind of get her in the mood to go on this family trip together. But Leanne, well, Leanne's got scars, okay? We know she's got lots of scars. And she's looking over her shoulder and around every corner for a cult member to pop up. It's like her life is a constant game of whack-a-mole. And she's been hooking up with Julian, Dorothy's brother, played by Rupert Grint, which of course is spicy and fun, but they're out on a walk with Jericho one afternoon, and Julian is trying to end this fling, and Leanne can't even pay attention because she is just watching this old man across the street, thinking that he is some cult member who is spying on her. She runs up on this old man and is like ready to attack, but it's just an old man. Leanne's, she's very on edge. She's very tense, and from everything we've learned about this cult, it is not hard to see why. And then Julian gets nearly Final Destination as they're walking back. There's a part of the building that just breaks off and crashes onto the ground right in front of him. It was a good scare. It got me, and damn, you really almost went out, just like Devon Sawa in that Final Destination sequel. That would suck. So Leanne is so on edge, she essentially refuses to go on this beach trip. She's like, nope, I'm staying home alone for the day. And I have to say, I really enjoy the way that pretty much all of the events of the show are centered around what happens within the confines of the house. For a show, I think it's a really smart move to keep things, as I said earlier, anchored to the one location. We do leave sometimes and we see things going on outside, but usually through people's phones or what's happening on TV. And I think for a show, this is so smart in terms of keeping things kind of in budget while also being a solid creative choice. But anyway, Leanne is hanging around eating Campbell's tomato soup, her favorite meal. How sad. And there's a little sweet moment when Sean FaceTimes her and even points out a bottle of wine in the cellar that would pair well with tomato soup, and she gets day drunk. I'm like, good for you, Leanne. Have a moment for yourself, enjoy your soup and wine. She even calls up Tony Revolori's character. She's, trying to get him to come over, and he's like, excuse me, no, I am not your midday booty call, but enjoy yourself. And then Leanne ends up having this vision, like she's conducting a seance in a Conjuring film, and so she starts writing in a notebook. She's kind of trying to draw out her vision, and it's like a bunch of check marks like all over the page, and it ends up looking like a flock of birds. And then ba-dum, she gets another FaceTime call from Dorothy this time, who then tells her that Julian was attacked on the beach by a bunch of birds. So Leanne is like, oh my god, I'm hella psychic, I need a 1-800 number. And then, as if things couldn't get any crazier in this show, an intruder shows up in the house. Like, okay, perfect, okay? Leanne's just standing there, and she's just like, oh, hello, stranger in the home. Cool. So she hides in her room, she locks herself in there, she FaceTimes Sean to call the police, like, girl, it's 911. It's not that many numbers, but it's okay. It's Leanne. It's fine. And she's calling through the door to this person, thinking they are a cult member, essentially trying to like talk them down or maybe talk them over to her side. And it isn't revealed in this episode, but I'm pretty sure this is just a burglar. I don't think it's going to be a cult member. It's just going to be something to rattle Leanne for the moment. And this episode ends with, we did see this a little bit throughout the episode where these moths are coming through the walls, and well, Leanne's hiding a dead body in the walls, the lady with the veil from season 2, so basically I think what we're seeing is these secrets are not going to stay hidden. They are going to come to the surface, and like I was thinking from the very beginning, as we see this Turner family now in this great blissful place, that's all gonna come crashing down. Let me just talk about how much I'm loving Servant real quick. I think Nell Tiger Free is absolutely perfect as Leanne. She captures the quiet, mysterious nature of this woman that you just want to explore. Like, I could watch her do anything. Toby Kebbell is such an underrated and talented actor who is also perfect in his role. Sean is he's an interesting character because he's essentially the audience character. He's the sane one amidst all of this madness, and he's just kind of trying to ground everything and keep it together. And the last bit of perfect casting is Lauren Ambrose as Dorothy, who I am just living for her performance. Give her all of the awards. We need to create new awards just for this performance, because you would think with like the crazy mom role, like Dorothy is just this big character, and not really the case, actually. Lauren Ambrose is doing such subtle work with this character. It's hard to describe. I mean, it's like she's kind of like a broken robot who is surrounded by a bunch of people who don't know how to fix the robot, so they're all just kind of pretending broken robot is okay, and it's so good. And we've seen how dark things can get for Dorothy, and considering how good things are now, we know that's not gonna last. Oh, I'm so scared for Dorothy. But I think this was a really solid way to start the season, because we're seeing Dorothy and Sean in this happy, blissful place. So of course that being threatened totally sucks. Leanne still recovering from everything going on with the cult, and we are still very slowly getting to the heart of this character. But those are my thoughts on episode 1 of season 3 of Servant. I would love to know what you guys are thinking of this show. I am so into it. I think I might just cover every episode just for my own enjoyment because I'm so into it. It's like I have to process it. If I'm not going to be able to watch every episode in a binge, then I'm gonna have to really get into it. So if you're not already, feel free to follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd for more movie recommendations. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.